Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, today I want to talk about 7 reasons to believe that Big Mom will appear in WANO. Now I want to know, guys, that none of these 7 reasons definitively proves that Big Mom will appear in WANO, only suggests that it is possible, and I think taken in its entirety makes for a very plausible and believable argument. Some of these reasons may border on each other just a little bit, but I think that I chose each of these 7 because they add some dimension to the argument as a whole. But yeah, I don't think that there's any reason to beat around the bush, so let's begin and let's talk about my first reason, which is what basically Big Mom said at the end of chapter 903. Watch your back, Straw Hat. Or perhaps a literal interpretation of what Big Mom means is, I'm coming for you. We learned in chapter 903 that the world now probably perceives Luffy to be a Yonko, and this upgrade in his status came at the expense of the Big Mom pirates and Big Mom herself's reputation. In order to save her reputation, in comparison to the other Yonko, if Luffy ends up besting her but gets defeated by somebody else, is to ensure that you are the one to defeat Straw Hat Luffy. For Big Mom, it very well could be important that she defeats Luffy before Kaido. Because I think at this point in time it's safe to assume that she assumes that Kaido will defeat Luffy. And this is of course without mentioning all the actual damage that Luffy has done to her territory, all the things that she cherishes that he has destroyed or attempted to destroy. Big Mom is angry at Luffy and wants revenge. If she chooses to seek this revenge immediately, then that would lead her to WANO. Honestly guys, this reason is super straightforward. The only reason why anybody would not believe in this is because they believe that Big Mom is afraid of Kaido and not willing to go into Kaido's territory, or they believe in another theory, and because they believe in this theory, then they're going to assume that Big Mom will ignore Luffy for at least some amount of time. But I don't think that a stronger argument exists. Based on explicitly what we know from the story, it makes the most sense for Big Mom to chase Luffy immediately, wherever he ends up going, and in this case, that would be WANO. And this leads into my second reason, which is that Big Mom knows precisely where the Strats are going, and on top of this, they've captured one of her very precious homies made from her own soul. Luffy told Big Mom this to her face, that it wasn't yet time for him to defeat her, that he first needed to defeat Kaido, and Big Mom with her intel network surely knows where Kaido is, and where Kaido's base of operations is. In addition to this, we know that Napoleon, Big Mom's hat, has the ability to communicate with all of Big Mom's various homies. And one homie is currently traveling with the Strats to WANO, that would be Zeus. So Big Mom should already know where Luffy is going, and on top of this, has a way to specifically track them. So I don't think that you can throw in the excuse that Big Mom doesn't know precisely where Luffy is or where he's going to be. This should all be things that she is aware of, so that she can act on her anger and try to execute her revenge. And I also think that now is a good time to bring up that at the very least, Big Mom will need to retrieve Zeus at some point in time. Zeus is very important to Big Mom as far as we are led to believe. And we're also led to believe that Big Mom sees no possibility, no chance in these Strats being able to defeat Kaido. So with these Strats having captured Zeus, and Kaido having defeated them, then Kaido will either kill or capture Zeus. Meaning if Big Mom ever wants to retrieve them in her mind, she will need to go to WANO, period. And so the last reason, guys, and all these sort of are related, but I think that they offer something different, is that these Strats were able to sneak out and steal a copy of Big Mom's road poneglyph. And Oda made sure that the Big Mom pirates, several of the Big Mom pirates, Brûlé and Diesel, were aware of this fact. Now granted, it's definitely possible that Brûlé and or Diesel refused to tell Big Mom because maybe they're scared for their own safety, Big Mom's rage after having heard this, something along those lines, their own failure in some way or another, maybe they don't reveal this information. I definitely think that it's possible. But definitively, 100%, if Big Mom learns that the Strats escaped Whole Cake Island with a copy of the road poneglyphs, she will hunt them down, because she stated explicitly that she would. She would never allow something like what happened in the past with Roger to happen again. And I think that this is another key point to bring up Kaido. Big Mom is assuming that the Strats are going to attack Kaido because they said that they would, and also assuming that they cannot defeat Kaido, so they're going to lose. So if these strats bring a copy of Big Mom's road poneglyph and her other poneglyphs to Kaido, but lose, then who would get those? Kaido would. That would be such a huge blow to Big Mom as a Yonko for an opponent that she truly fears. Or fears is not the correct word. She respects. Big Mom cannot allow Kaido to own her poneglyphs and the information that they contain. So if at any point in time Big Mom is told that these strats escaped with a copy of her poneglyphs, then I think that it would make the most sense for Big Mom to want to specifically retrieve these copies herself before anybody else that is truly somebody that she respects as an opponent has a chance to get a hold of them. It is something that Big Mom cannot leave to chance. But yeah guys, let's move on to the fourth reason, and the fourth reason is Oda and his editors have described Wano as making a Marineford look cute in comparison. We're not exactly sure how Wano will play out, how the Kaido arc will play out, but the general impression is that this is gonna be absolutely huge and game-changing as an arc. If you look at Marineford, it was a conflict between a Yonko, Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, and essentially the entirety of the government. How are you going to best a conflict like that? It has to be more than just Kaido attacking the government. So how do you make it bigger? Throw in another Yonko or two. I think that for Kaido's war, we should expect other Yonko to be present, and one of the most arguable presents for a Yonko in Kaido's arc is, of course, Big Mom. I think that this is another area in which people's preferences and beliefs about theories really comes into play as to deciding which Yonkos might appear, because I think that generally speaking it seems to be somewhat of a consensus that there will be other Yonko present in Kaido's arc. Aside from the editors and Oda describing Marineford looking cute in comparison to Wano, we also know Kaido himself stated that he's going to create the biggest war essentially ever. This is keeping in mind that Marineford was just 2 years previously. But because people have other thoughts for where Big Mom may end up, whether it be Fishman Island or Elbaf, they decide, okay, well then the other Yonkos must be Blackbeard and or Shanks, or both of them, but not Big Mom. When Big Mom is probably more arguable than both of them, based on what's explicitly in the story. But this is going to lead us into point number 5, which is that Zoro warned us that the moment in which Luffy and Sanji headed out to deal with Big Mom in some way or another, that they were not equipped to deal with two Yonko at the same time. It's a warning both to Luffy and to us as the readership. This is a legit possibility, an outcome of going into Whole Cake Island. You piss off Big Mom, you lead Big Mom to our fight with Kaido, and we will surely be annihilated. This just seems to me to be pretty classic Oda foreshadowing. Of course, it doesn't have to be the case, but Oda has clearly set up the distinct possibility that the conflict with Big Mom spills over to the conflict with Kaido. Zoro warned us. But yeah, moving on to reason number 6. This one's a bit convoluted, guys, but I believe that Jinbei's promise almost definitely means that Big Mom herself will appear in Wano. Remember in chapter 901, Jinbei promised to meet the Strats again in Wano. And we saw in chapter 903 that Jinbei was captured, and we are presumed he is going to be killed, given Big Mom asks him life or death. And in this case, life means taking your lifespan, so it's death or death. And so guys, I don't believe that I need to argue this too hard, but the community perspective about Jinbei is one, Jinbei will survive because there's been too much setup for him joining the crew. This is just going to be a barrier to entry, and that's it. The more interesting question obviously is how will Jinbei rejoin the crew and what will happen in the middle. And the other community perspective is that he's going to get his lifespan stolen from him, which could occur if his crew was in some kind of danger. Big Mom can create some kind of fear. And then his lifespan is going to be given to a homie. As for ideas aside from this, I have heard quite a few random ideas, but really nothing else even makes the slightest amount of sense to me. Some people have even brought up the idea that Pudding could have manipulated everybody's memories and allowed Jinbei and the Vinsmoke to escape. I don't see it. We've even seen Big Mom's territory several days afterwards, and it doesn't appear as though Big Mom is letting on that Jinbei escaped. He probably didn't escape. But given this assumption, we also have Jinbei's promise, guys. And when a Straw Hat makes a promise in the series, they always back it up. It doesn't always go the way that they intended. The path is not always clear, but the end objective usually is. And the reason for this is that to be a member of the Straw Hat crew, you have to do what it is that you can do, but if you need help, you must ask for it. Those are two of Luffy's biggest requirements. If Jinbei is unable to complete his promise, then it is the ultimate insult to him as a character, and would definitively prove that Jinbei was never meant to be part of the Straw Hat crew, and never deserved to be part of the Straw Hat crew. And so because I respect Jinbei so much, because I love Jinbei so much, and because I believe in all the setup of Jinbei joining the crew, then I believe that in order for Jinbei to cement himself as a Straw Hat, he must appear in Wano. But how is it possible if he cannot escape Big Mom? And Luffy himself said, even if you die, don't die. Which I think adds up perfectly with the idea of Jinbei becoming a homie. And Jinbei as a homie, in what circumstances would it even be possible for Jinbei as a homie to appear in Wano? I believe that you can only rationalize it if Big Mom herself appears in Wano. Homies do not retain their memories. The only way that we know of in which a homie can remember their past is when Pudding uses her flashback ability, which only works for a very limited amount of time. So long story short, guys, is that it does not make any sense for Jinbei to appear in Wano as a homie unless Big Mom is there. Which is something that I think makes a ton of sense, given every reason before this. And so the last reason, guys, and this is going to be a reason that not many people are going to agree with, but I personally believe in, is Lola's promise. Lola stated at the end of Thriller Bark that if the Strats were ever in a pinch, if they ever needed help, that they should seek out Mama. And of course, the story from this point forward obviously contradicts that narrative, but I think that if you believe that it's even possible for Big Mom to appear in Wano, you have to ask the question, how is it possible for these Straw Hat pirates to deal with both the Shogun and Kaido as well as Big Mom potentially at the same time? How is that even possible? We don't even know how they could defeat one of them, let alone both of them. And so perhaps the answer lies in Lola's promise. If you are ever in trouble, go seek out Mama. There's two ways in which this could work. If these Strats are able to, in some way or another, mend their relationship with the Big Mom pirates, then the Big Mom pirates could be their allies. Or on the other hand, if you want to look at this as indirect foreshadowing, it's possible that the Big Mom pirates unintentionally end up helping the Straw Hats, simply by being there and fighting Kaido, having some kind of mutual enemy. In this case, the meaning behind Lola's words is wrong, but the conclusion is right, and this is a kind of foreshadowing that Oda uses from time to time. Right now, these Straw Hats need help. They need help versus Kaido. And almost precisely as Lola suggested to them, before fighting Kaido, they sought out Big Mom. And as per Lola's conclusion, Big Mom will help them. But yeah, before we end this video, I want to throw in two bonus reasons, and these aren't really reasons why Big Mom will appear in Wano, but more of my belief in arguments against the other popular theories. Big Mom will appear in Elbaf, or Big Mom will attack Fishman Island. Again here, nothing is definitive, but these would be sort of how I would rationalize it if I was assuming, and I am assuming, that Big Mom will appear in Wano, because that is my belief. Firstly, when it comes to Elbaf, Big Mom does not need to go to Elbaf, because what is most important, and the reason why people are suggesting Big Mom goes to Elbaf, is there needs to be resolution between Big Mom's relationship with the Giants. And so guys, this resolution can be taken care of in Wano because of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Specifically, one of Luffy's fleet members is Harujin, and a member of his crew happens to be Big Mom's childhood, her best friend, Girth. So the resolution that many suggest needs to take place in Elbaf could take place in Wano. And so next, guys, I am a firm believer that Fishman Island is in danger, especially in the recent chapters when we learn that they are going to sever ties with Big Mom. They're not going to provide her any more candy because they are now subject to the protection of these Straw Hat pirates. That is not good news. And Big Mom should certainly be angry at them and potentially send forces or go herself to Fishman Island in order to destroy it. That is something that is entirely possible and specifically set up in the story with Bobbin's actions. But if you're going to believe that Big Mom appears in Wano and does not attack Fishman Island, how do you rationalize it? And so the way that I look at it is that Fishman Island will be a threat. Big Mom will use Fishman Island as a threat, and for us as the readers to sort of increase the tension of the situation. If these Strats fail, if they do not deal with Big Mom in Wano, then Fishman Island will be wiped off the map. But ultimately, nothing will come of this threat because Big Mom will be dealt with in Wano, whether it's because she resolves her relationship with the Straw Hats, or Kaido defeats her. But yeah guys, those are my 7 reasons why I believe that Big Mom will appear in Wano, and my 2 counter arguments for the other possible theories. As always, I am curious as to what you guys think about this, whether you agree or disagree, and why. Just share your thoughts. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always guys, have a wonderful day.